We need to talk about a specific company banning Jimin and what happened there. We also have a backlash situation as V was believed to have followed T.O.P of Big Bang. And then we have another company coming out to give a message. So hey dumplings, is Dave just a hater or not? Make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumplings, his spilling mug merch, and let's go. With every release of a song, there seems to be a lot of issues. I think especially with something that is very popular, the label, streaming sites, and whatever else always seem to struggle to keep up. Funny enough, even though we as the viewers seem to only see songs do really well and surpass expectations, labels don't see it as often. They produce hundreds, if not thousands of songs and content every year, and 90% of those types of content don't ever get to the point where, let's say, they break the servers and no one in the back end was ready for it. Of course, we as the viewers are only going to see the popular songs, which are going to be the exceptions. Jimin and Taeyang released a song called Vibe. I did fangirl and posted that reaction on Patreon. We do have a limited $1 tier if you would like to join us over there in fangirling. I will link all that below. But the song, I think, surpassed expectations, and I think some of the streaming sites and the labels are struggling to keep up or make sure everything that was published is published correctly. Specifically, Jimin's name wasn't credited properly. Apparently, there were two Spotify pages. One page was distributed by Interscope and then the other page was distributed by YG. So how smaller labels can work sometimes is they'll reach out to bigger labels to help with the distribution. And apparently the Spotify page with YG didn't credit Jimin, but just Taeyang. ARMYs were extremely upset over this, and then others even claimed that the Melon charts, which is the Korean music charts, you'll see Taeyang on the top but not Jimin. That means that Taeyang was the only one that received credit for the song in the Melon charts. Now for sure, Jimin should receive credit on both Spotify pages. However, as for the chart ranking, since it is Taeyang's song, the number one technically does go to Taeyang, and then Jimin is just along for the ride. Now, I don't know if it was the same people, but people were upset previously when Halsey took credit for a number one, and people were saying that this was BTS's number one, not hers. Well, this is the same situation now. Jimin is just featured in the song. It's not his song. As for the crediting on Spotify, apparently Spotify has been aware of the fact that this is an issue and exists. And in one of their pages, they have an artist section in which they answer a concern about crediting. It basically says that they typically only show the credits that the label sends over and asks if there is something that is wrong for the artist to simply reach out to the label and get them to send over the correct information. And then they even said that not all distributors support credits, and that is something they're working on. I don't know exactly what that means, but that could definitely explain why there is no credit on one of the Spotify pages. However, it seems like for the fandom to get upset over this is silly, as it seems only the artist or the label can actually do anything about this. So just wait and see. Perhaps the label will correct this. When a song drops, there's a lot of stuff to do. The promo begins to roll out, and especially with promo and appearances, paperwork is needed. There's of course contracts and things. The artists have to meet with people, meetings, PR, and then sometimes even legal copyright things. So give the label some time. People keep saying that Jimin is always the one to get snubbed, and even a conversation about Twitter was recirculating a bit. And specifically, Jimin's name was the victim here. The trending hashtags, if you are not aware, are very controversial because anything that gets attention is controversial. Either other people think that they should have the attention, or they think that their favorite artist should. But because it is something that gets attention and it's something that has become so popular with pop culture that people literally leave the other platform they use to go on Twitter to see what's trending. Twitter had to make some rules. So basically anything that is popular or everyday word cannot trend. Like for example, the letter A appears probably in every tweet. So the letter A probably can't trend, otherwise it would trend every second of the day. Similar to allegedly very common names, I assume like David or Daniel would be difficult to trend. And in Korea, the name Jimin is very common. It's a unisex name, so there's even more people using it. So the name actually can't trend. If ARMYs want Jimin to trend, they either have to add an IE at the end of Jimin to make it Jiminy, or they trend Jimin Jimin or Mochi Jimin or anything like that. People were saying it's unfair that Jimin alone and the name cannot trend, and that he was being banned by this big company. And that is just how it has to be. I don't think Jimin is upset about that or upset that he can't trend on Twitter. However, I do think it's quite sad that every member can trend except him. However, I don't think Jimin logs on to Twitter every day and just cries about it. To be honest, he might not even know how the trending situation even works on Twitter. What I think Twitter can do if they want to remedy this situation situation, although it's not a huge deal, is when they notice an influx of tweets on a name that might be very common, is to have a moderator look at it. I think they already have a moderator, as sometimes they have comments or notes below the trend, and obviously if something horrid trends, they are pretty quick to take it down. So if there is already this review process, why not make a review process for more common names or common phrases? And then the staff can decide whether this should go through or not. Interestingly enough, a lot of armies do know about this and have all gotten used to just writing alternative ways of Jimin's name to get it trending. So perhaps we may not need a review at this point. Social media has been a lot on the boys. I think it does make us all feel much closer to them, and while that is great, it also makes some people in the fandom think they know the boys much better, or say the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Hashtag Free Taeyang was trending, and there's so much drama happening here. So what started all this, and why is this so dramatic? Taeyang apparently followed T.O.P from Big Bang. Given the recent Jimin and Taeyang collab, I think maybe Taeyang thought it would be okay to follow the members of Big Bang, or that the fandom would accept it. But no, Taeyang got a ton of backlash, and then apparently it was seen that he unfollowed T.O.P. I don't know if it was like a Jenny situation where he accidentally hit follow and then just unfollowed quickly, or if he did follow, see the backlash and then unfollow. I don't know how long he followed for. Or honestly, the only proof of him following at all is through the screenshots, which can be edited. So take everything with a grain of salt. Now, why was the fandom so mad at this alleged following? If you aren't aware of the quote-unquote drama between Big Bang and BTS, and I say it in quotes because there's no drama between the group, just within the fandom. The drama is that the fandoms don't like each other. BTS during their come up was compared to Big Bang all the time, and this led to some fans being like, no, your fave group will never be as successful as my fave, and this led to arguments. But after the recent collab, we can probably see that there is no hatred between any of them. But I think the fandom was okay with Jimin and Taeyang, because Taeyang has never really had a big scandal. However, T.O.P has had one. T.O.P was in a marijuana scandal. You should probably respect every culture, and weed has just become a norm here in America, but definitely not normal in a lot of Asian countries, and very illegal. Someone was tweeting to say that Taeyang would end up in jail because he is hanging out with the wrong people. And to that, I'd say that there is so much wrong with this tweet, and so much wrong with this type of mentality. I honestly think this person needs to get mental help. First of all, if a celebrity you know ends up in jail, that doesn't really affect your life, especially since clearly this person is not a fan. And it bothers me beyond that because looking at the grammar and the way the tweet was written, I feel like this person is from America. So a lot of American singers smoke weed. As someone who is from here, you should not look at something that is considered a scandal in Korea to actually be something that is a scandal. Don't just take what the Korean media tells you is bad and just assume it's bad. Is it bad? Make that judgment for yourself. So many people in K-pop just jump on hate without thinking for themselves. If this is actually a jail-worthy thing, and this isn't to say Taeyang has done it, I don't know, I don't think so, but if he did, I don't care. It's legal in most parts here in the US. People were tweeting these terrible things, and then in defense of Taeyang, the hashtag Free Taeyang happened to end those comments. People also were wondering what would happen if Taeyang saw the comments or what his response would be. But I do think Taeyang already did respond, and his reply was simply the unfollow. If he did unfollow because of the backlash, I would imagine how upset he would be reading those comments after following someone he possibly looks up to, and looks up to as an artist. We should be able to separate art from the artist also. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks for those lovely comments right here. Love you, bye.